This meeting is called to order at 7:05. Secretary Gully, please call the roll.
Here. Here. Present. Here. Lisa Gully here. Joseph Taylor.
Present. Thank you, Secretary Gully. At this time, may I have a motion for the approval of tonight's agenda?
I move that we approve today's agenda as written.
Motion moved by Trustee Martha Momedy, supported by Trustee Gavin. Secretary Gully. I'm sorry. Treasurer Angelica McConnell. I apologize.
Gavin? Here. Yes. Martha Momedy? Yes. Anthony Gallon? Here. Yes. Lisa Gully? Yes. Joseph Taylor?
Yes. At this time, we'll have public participation. We'll use a town hall format, and our facilitator tonight will be Trustee Gavin. Trustee Gavin, you have the floor.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I want to thank you. Can you hear me okay? Testing, is that better? Okay, I want to thank you all for coming out this evening. Some of you have been to a few events, working to help keep our doors open to save our schools, and we really appreciate you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us. We're going to do a town hall critical friends protocol. We believe that this is the best way to get the solutions on the floor and to also give you an opportunity to share your concerns, because that's the only way we're going to get to the solutions that we need to protect and save our schools. So the way this works is a little different, but we found it to be pretty proactive. You should have a sheet here that explains how this will work. Normally in public participation, you get a few minutes, maybe like 3 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes. But the way this breakdown is, you would actually get 6 minutes if you participate in each section. So what will happen is Dr. Walker is going to do a presentation to give you some updates about what's going on with the SRO, give you some information about what's going on there. She's also going to answer some questions. Well, we are going to together try to answer some questions that were presented at the last meeting, so that you know that we are listening and we are trying to make sure that we handle your concerns. And then we're going to give you an opportunity to have the floor. The way it's going to be set up is we're going to start with likes. We need to know what our strengths are. What is it that you like about the presentation? What is it that you like about what you're hearing or about what we're doing, so that we can make sure that we're homing in on those strengths. We also want to know your real concerns. What is it that's going on? What are you concerned about? And so it may be, I wonder this, or why is this going on? That type of thing. And then we also want your ideas for solutions, which is really important. And then I'll explain, I'll walk us through that so that we're kind of all on the same page. And and during that time, when you get the floor, we're only going to be listening to you. We're not going to be talking. We're going to be listening to you, making sure we're on time, but just listening and taking notes. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to, also you have these forms. You can take notes on these forms during the presentation as well, to help you when you get ready to speak. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Dr. Walker, and she's going to give us updates on the SRO, and then some of us will try to answer your questions as well before we get into the public speak.
Thank you, Ms. Gavin. Thank you to everyone that has joined us this evening. I just want to again say that I have enough hope that we are going to prevail for all of you all, and outside, down the block. And I have that hope because I have the advantage in that I'm inside of the district. I see what's changing, what's evolving, what's happening. And I want to be clear, we have a lot to still do. There's a lot that's not okay, and we own that. However, we have a plan, it's purposeful, it's research based, it's being implemented, we're assessing our progress, we check, look at data, ask hard questions, we've adjusted, etc. And that's truly best practice around change and around the turnaround model. And so I know that we are doing what it takes to help the schools in Benton Harbor better serve our children and ensure that as they go through school in time, they will be successful in our society. I was just so confident in what we are doing that I am hopeful of that. I shared last week, and I think this is important to remind everyone, that the Benton Harbor area schools has been working very closely with two departments at the state level, the Department of Education and the State Treasury Department. They know our work. They've partnered with us. They govern us because we're under a consent agreement, and they support us. The the State Reform Office, that's a different department. And so today, since Friday evening of last week, there are several of us that have been working to put together a composite book of Benton Harbor area schools and why, under the undue hardship clause that this reform office is saying they will use to determine if our school should or should not close. We submitted, as I'm speaking to you, information on all three schools to identify and explain why Benton Harbor School should not be closed. And so next week, the reform office has contacted us today. We got calls this afternoon, and our meetings are set up Wednesday and Thursday. So far, we have the third school to set up where they will send a team to review, site visit our schools. They're going to talk to some of our community members, our parents, our students, our staff, preview our facilities, and that review and the information that we provide for that review then determines that next decision from the office of the State Reform Office. People say, well, how can they do this? Well, in Michigan, the law supports that schools that underperform and ultimately fall in this 5% lowest performing group are at risk of being accountable for closure. The law supports that. And so the Reform Office is acting and enacting that law. And they do have that authority. And so our responsibility is to help them understand why Benton Harbor should qualify for undue hardship. So first off, our enrollment. We, unlike the past 10 years, this school year did not start in a deficit enrollment from the prior years. It's stabilized. That's the first time in years. That's huge. On the heels of that, the schools have been reconfigured. What do you mean, Dr. Walker? Well, the State Reform Office has looked at data from 2014, 2015, and 2016. The students, for example, that are currently attending Whole are kindergarten through second grade. That's not their data. The information that the Reform Office is using to determine whether or not Whole should close, those are not the same children. And so a part of our response is to help the State Reform Office know these changes. Because remember, they don't know Benton Harbor the way the Department of Education and the Department of Treasury do, who have been 1,000% supportive of our work and acknowledge that we are truly making strides, unlike has been seen in the past. Furthermore, you talk about MLK, it's the same thing, 3rd through 5th grade. But that data, those 3 years, those were the 1st through 8th grade students across all of our schools. Yes, some of our students that are in that group are at this school, but do we really want to hold kids accountable for data and information that's not theirs? That's the question. Dream is a school of choice in Benton Harbor. It's a completely different school. It was a charter school before. It's an alternative high school. So the question is, does it not raise an opportunity for the Reform Office to approach Dream as a different entity? We think so. So again, we do feel we have a strong platform of why we qualify for undue hardship just on the premises of what the district is doing now. We have adopted new curriculum, we have purchased those materials, we have enacted some significant professional development. We're about to embark on a new journey to allow our teachers even more time to really get more time with instruction and what they're doing, how to help students. We started a brand new teacher evaluation tool this year that is in full swing. Every teacher is being evaluated and every staff member will be evaluated, and a host of other steps that have been put in place. We have interventionists in our schools now that have been trained and are working with students one-on-one to help our students think about their choices, issues, or emotionally or socially what's irritating for them. We've created structures to not send our children home. Our intent is to keep as many students in school as long as their behaviors are safe for themselves or for other students. And so again, there are hosts of things that we feel when we present to the State Reform Office about Benton Harbor, that it's a wonderful opportunity for us to demonstrate that we are a new Benton Harbor. And then of course you factor in new leadership. Our board has turned into another group of board members through the election process. We have new board members. We're evolving. This Benton Harbor is not the same Benton Harbor of the data that they are using to drive their decision. So those are just some of the key reasons as to why, again, I am so hopeful because I see what we're doing and I know there's change, and I've just been here a short while. Others who have been here longer than me, I hear it all the time. Benton Harbor today, what they're seeing, a long way to go. But they do see a significant difference than what has been. And I think that's cause to celebrate despite the stress. With that said, there are a couple of other critical pieces of information that are more current as to what's happening. I know some of you are wondering about the summit yesterday and why Benton Harbor wasn't a part of the summit. Some of you are wondering, are we going to talk to students, things like that. So I'm going to ask Mr. Taylor if he wants to speak to some of these more current events that have happened that are kind of buzzing out there to let you know where our board is around those issues.
Thank you, Dr. Walker. So the board, we're taking a proactive position in developing a resolution that supports continuing the educational process of Benton Harbor area schools. The school is also, the Benton Harbor area schools, we have not received a formal written invitation from the elected school board in the Michigan Heights district. There's no plan for our school board members to attend their community forum tomorrow night. But if board members individually wants to go, that's their opportunity. The superintendent's office is working with representatives from the SRO and LoRa for on-site visits, and the administration has submitted the required paperwork to the SRO office today as required from paperwork received January 25th, 2017. There are 3 organizations which advocate for public schools: Michigan Association Michigan Association of Superintendents, Michigan Association of School Boards, and the Middle Cities were well represented at the summit yesterday. I think that summit was in Lansing, correct? And Ben Harbor Area Schools is a member of each of these organizations. Each of them have communicated their statements and samples from their testimony. The summit was an invitation-only event, and Ben Harbor Area Schools was not invited to that summit. And I'm going to let Dr. Walker speak to this one.
Thank you. And speaking of the summit, on the table, we have some handouts of some of the transcripts and reporting from the summit, so you can read and kind of connect with some of the highlighted components from the summit. But again, we were not invited. It was not that we didn't go. We couldn't go. And so we just want to make sure the community understands that. Also, when I spoke to this last week, part of my hope is I believe as an educator in what we call teachable moments. And I see this situation for our district as a teachable moment for students and then for parents and for the district leadership. For students, once we get through all the paperwork, it's been an opportunity to put together a portfolio of what we're doing, which is nice to always see what you're doing. Once the leadership team gets through that paperwork and gets everything into the state reform office and assures they have what they need, the very next primary task is to go into the schools and talk to students. Well, to start with the 11th grade, and Ms. Robinson and I will lead this charge and have a conversation with our students about what is going on, help them process why is this happening, and most importantly, help them understand that they have an opportunity to make history. And you may say, well, how is that, Dr. Walker? Well, if we can help them connect what they're doing today, how they coming to school on time, attending, following rules, doing their homework, etc., they can help ensure that once that state reform office decides, yes, we need to leave Benton Harbor open, that we now have to evidence growth academically. That's the end game. And that's the important and most important part of all of this. So then, as they grow up, the schools stay open, they're telling their children and their grandchildren, when I was in school, the state wanted to close Benton Harbor, but we came together as a community and we said, not our schools. And I helped because I made sure that I was extra attentive. I made sure that I did all of my homework, not some, etc. For parents, this is an opportunity for me to get to know you, you to get to know me, our district to share with you all the things that we are doing, and for us to kind of link arms together and say, not Benton Harbor. Our schools need to stay open. This would definitely be hard on our families. We do have a significant number of families that are displaced or referred to as homeless by the McKinney-Vento laws, which are national laws, federal law. And that would be an undue hardship for those students. How are they going to get to school? And then for us, as a leadership team and as a school board, this is an opportunity for us to look at how are we doing our work? What can we improve upon? As Ms. Gavin said earlier, when we get to that part where you have a chance to share your concerns and to share your ideas, how do we listen and how do we make sure that we incorporate the voices and the questions of the community? So that's a wonderful opportunity for us as the leadership. So again, I see it as a wonderful opportunity for us to continue our journey on improvement and doing so together even more effectively than what has been happening. So with that said, from the questions last week, different ones across the table, we have different leaders across the table, have the questions that were asked in last week's forum, and we're just gonna start and pass the mic, basically, not drop the mic, we're gonna pass the mic. And we're going to read the question and then share the answer at this point in time. And then as Ms. Gavin said, I'll turn the mic back over to her, and then she'll explain your opportunity to participate and provide us additional information. So,
Tech Center was a valuable part of Ben Harbor area schools. It was shut down due to the restructuring after partnering with Berry Reset and has not been good. Is there a plan to reinstate these technical skills so the students of Ben Harbor area schools have a chance to get experience in real world activities? Yes, provided the district operations are not adversely impacted by the actions of the SRO and budget. Thank you. A second question was, what classes do we have to teach our children financial literacy? And the answer is we are going to start junior achievement at the middle school level in March of 2017 and economics. And the final question is, if we were to be closed as a district, do we have another plan of what will happen? What is the process? What is plan B? If the SRO closes these 3 schools, we will still have ACA and the high school. The plan B would involve assessing what are the next best steps to support these students who still deserve a quality education.
The first question is curriculum aligned with the testing for the students of Benton Harbor area schools? The response is curriculum is aligned to the state standards, which comprise the state testing questions. The next question that was posed is, has Benton Harbor area schools been tested for lead? Students may have lead poisoning. The response to that is no, but there is a protocol the state has for school buildings, and we will be following the protocol for testing and mitigation where required. Another question was, M-STEP is used to assess the kids. Are we teaching to the test? Do we have sample exams for M-STEP tests to get this information out there? Reach one and teach one. Response, no teaching to the test is ever acceptable. And yes, there are always examples provided, but M-STEP is an application test versus a route memorization examination. Next question posed was, why has no one returned my call after several messages having been left? For A, Mr. Pearson about a safety issue in which my child was injured. The response to this is that this has been referred to Mr. William Bledsoe, and he should be contacting you and resolving the issue within the 72 hours. And the final question that was posed is, why does the switchboard hang up at Benton Harbor High School when I press 0 for immediate assistance? To be honest, I don't know. But we will check with the receptionist and the technology director, which we've actually already done this evening, and follow up on why that may be occurring.
Good evening. Question is, well, actually it's a statement. It would be a good idea to have retired teachers from BHAS to come in and mentor the current ones. We are in absolute agreement with this. We welcome retired teachers and are looking for those who are interested in 30 hours of employment every other week to support a current initiative around teacher professional development. Next, I'm getting school information too late. I missed my child's conference because it was too late of notice. What can the district do to improve this? We will work to reverse negative experiences expediently. We encourage you in being persistent in working with us as we are addressing several challenges that have been part of the district historically. Next, communication with parents when testing is happening could help parents prepare their kids for testing. Response is yes, and we will be more purposeful in ensuring parents are informed when testing is occurring. How are teachers evaluated? We need to look closer at how teachers are working with students. In response, we follow state law, which requires annual performance rating by using the thoughtful classroom evaluation tool, which was adopted and put into effect for this school year. So this year, 2016-2017. And my last question, how do you teach or keep kids on the same track? The goal is to make every child competitive by raising their achievement levels, and those are individual tracks.
Thank you. So another question raised was, what happened to the African American class at the high school? people are under the impression the class has been eliminated. So what happened is in the spring of last year, the district knowingly had $2.5 million in debt. I think that's the right number. $2.5 million in deficit. And we had to cut from the general fund side. That's a lot of money. So what we did is we assessed programs, staffing, classes at the high school, etc. And in that assessment, unfortunately, and I can tell you why, the African American class evidenced a small number of students. And it was one of the two classes out of all of them that had the fewest number of students. However, I'll be the first one to agree, that's a very important class. So instead of cutting it, which we technically should have done, what we did was put it on a rotation cycle. Students attend high school 4 years or 8 semesters. This class is one of their 8 semesters. By putting it on a rotation cycle, our students have plenty of opportunity to still have that class. And so in the next school year, that class will be available. Another piece to that is really helping our students not fail classes because it's an elective class. The reason I believe that it had low attendance is because students had to take other classes in order to meet graduation requirements. And so a part of our work is to build up our students' awareness of the importance of graduation and how credits equal a diploma and how every semester counts such that they do have an opportunity in their schedule to take elective courses and they don't reflect, as this one did, unfortunately, with very low numbers. So it will be available for our students this fall. I was not aware that there was a parent advisory committee for Benton Harbor. Why aren't the parents notified? Well, they have been informally. We could absolutely do better, absolutely. But on the district website, there was a cookies and conversation. That was the effort to get the parents out, to get to know you all. And from that group is how I got parents to start coming to meet with me regularly. And we've had 2 meetings. The other way was just talking to some parents about their students at the middle school, because I spent some significant time there, and some grandparents, I should say. And I asked them, would you be willing to partner with me? I'm looking for parents to partner. And so from there, we have begun to grow our parent advisory. So if you'd like to be a part of that, I would love to have you. We meet once a month on Mondays. We meet for 1 hour, and I share data, I share information, and I help the parents to understand what the district is facing. And then I'll also have an opportunity to listen and to hear their ideas, their concerns, pretty much like this forum is presented. And we talk about that, and we come back, and I think some of the audience tonight could speak to that parent forum. I see some parents that have been working with me and would love to grow that group. So Ms. Nichols, if you wave, Ms. Nichols, if you're a parent here tonight, or if you know of a parent, we would love for you to come see her before you leave. Give her your name and your email and phone number, and we will add you to the invite list, and you are more than welcome to join us every Monday. What's the time frame for the state's reform office's processes? So the time frame is this, as I mentioned earlier, starting next week, they're going to come out and they're going to do a school review. The packet of information that we had to provide them today has been sent with that packet of information. And with this team, as I mentioned, they'll come out and talk to our leadership teams in the building, some of the staff, some of the students, parents, and community members. And so we had to turn all of those names in by today, along with a host of other pieces of information. At the end of February, we were told their plan will be having reviewed all the schools on the list of 38. That office will make their determinations, their call. And our hope and prayer will be under the undue hardship clause that the state will determine, the state reform office, to leave our schools open. But they have up to 45 days to ultimately make their determination. So it could be as late as the middle of March. The next question, this county is segregated. As parents of students at Benton Harbor area schools, we are concerned about the school of choice. Has this been put into consideration? So the SRO reported that it only has looked at proficiency data, as I shared, 2014, 15, 16 performance data, and that it may take into consideration mitigating factors for review. So yes, it is taken into account by the district, and we've provided to the SRO for its on-site review on this notion of school of choice. Not all the schools surrounding us are participating in that. And then when students are taken out of their element and placed into others, they tend to shut down or be counterproductive. What is the state's plan on making sure they would transition easily? Well, the state looks at 5 domains, what they consider to be important criteria, and there's no domain that addresses the social, emotional well-being of the students. So ideally, when they come out, this is an area that we want to make sure we're purposeful in addressing and demonstrating how we are working to be responsive to our students on a social and emotional level.
Thank you, Dr. Walker. So I have 6 questions from last week's town hall. First question, how do we determine whether we have an argument to redirect the SRO? A, the SRO has the power by law to take action against schools cited on the list. The lowest performing schools in Michigan and Benton Harbor schools' performance is one of the lowest in the county. The law mandates. B, however, the question asks, do we have an argument? In which case, the response is yes. As previously stated, the SRO does not have the discretion to allow the Benton Harbor area schools through the hardship provision to hear our argument or case regarding why schools must remain open. Our schools are restructured. For example, Hull is down to K through 2nd, and the data used to place Hull on the list is from the 1 through 8th grade structure. 2, new leadership, school boards, etc., talking points, and superintendent went over this earlier. Question 2, is the board going to adopt a resolution? The board needs to ask all other governments to adopt resolutions to support. A, the school board is committed to presenting a uniform voice through the adoption of a resolution regarding any changes or closures of Benton Harbor area schools. Question 3, how did the district get to where it is? Why have we taken so long to take action? The district has, for the past 20 years, been in decline. As of 2014, the state treasury intervened because the district went into receivership, and the district is trying to work its way out of a vicarious position. Question 4, what do you do for the child that's willing to learn but can't due to disruptive kids? A, classroom management has been the focus in our district since September 2016. We are seeing significant improvements in classroom management, student attendance, and less frequent incidents. Question 5, what is the district's plan to inform the community of information? The Benton Harbor Area School website is going to be updated. Newsletters and letters can be distributed. Closer to the end of the school year, we will be using public service announcements, social media, print, radio, etc. Last question, question 6. How will the children get to school if the schools are closed down? Transportation is not guaranteed if schools of choice are left as an option for the Benton Harbor area schools. That is something that has to be discussed as a hardship issue that is permitted under the hardship sections of the governing SRO.
Thank you. My first question kind of follow up on what Mr. Taylor just did. The parents of Benton Harbor area school students do not have reliable transportation to take their kids to schools 30 miles away. This is a hardship for our parents, as has been considered. Well, there's been some discussion by the state on how this will be addressed, but no answers or decisions have been given at this time. If SRO closes schools, this is going to be a really important question that will need to be answered for a lot of parents in Benton Harbor area schools. The SRO cannot impose provisions for transporting kids from one district to another. This is something I even had to explain to my husband about the difficulties of transportation when you close schools and send them elsewhere. We're not like New York City where we have public transportation and make it easier for kids to be transported. When it comes to math curriculum at Benton Harbor area schools, students are just not getting it. Is there any form of evaluation on the curriculum being taught? What is age appropriate and what is state required? Well, we're working on opportunities for our teachers to learn some ways to teach the math so that students will gain on their achievements. And we're working on what we call PLCs, which are professional learning communities, and looking at data and developing opportunities to assess and progress and consider adjustments to the curriculum. I will add to the answer that's on here. Michigan adopted Common Core curriculum, and as a retired teacher and someone who learned math many years ago, Common Core math is taught in a much different way, and I have difficulty with it. So we're required to use Common Core. We're looking for ways to help our teachers be able to teach it. How can we save our history? We do have a Hobart grant that was given to us to preserve Benton Harbor history. We have had some difficulties in establishing how we can best do this, but we do have some grant money and are looking forward to maintaining our history of Benton Harbor area, not just the schools, but the whole Benton Harbor area, and we're looking forward to maintaining that history. And then how do we move forward from this as parents? Well, stay abreast of what's occurring, stay in contact with your elected officials, encourage them to support us, and we do come from 8 municipalities in the district. So there's 8 municipalities that you could encourage to stand behind us. Support your children, ensure they're attending school, try to help them understand the importance of working and doing their hardest while in school. Because the shortest route to saving your districts is to raise our achievement. And anything we can do to help raise achievement it makes a difference. We just took everybody in this room and you adopted one child to work with on a one-on-one basis for an hour a week. It would make a difference.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so reading these, but I'm also going to give you my input as well. So how do we get rid of teachers who do not care? The evaluation process. So there was a time when all teachers were not evaluated. So we're working on that. We're working on making sure that the teachers receive an evaluation, that they receive the training that they need in their deficit areas, in the areas that they need help, and that we provide correction to those teachers as well. If the teacher just does not care, and sometimes there's some mistakes there, sometimes we just look and we think the teacher does not care, but there are a lot of other things that are going on that impact that classroom. It's just like when you go to a restaurant and you get a bad hamburger and you think, you go off on the waitress, and it's some behind the scenes stuff going on that we have to address. Maybe the chef, maybe management decided not to use the best ingredients. So there's a lot of things that go into problems you may see in the classroom. And so we're looking at all of those issues in the evaluation process. And so we're actually evaluating the support staff that work with the teachers and that are supposed to help the teachers. We're evaluating ourselves as a board. We're getting training. We're working on ourselves as well. And so, yes, if a teacher absolutely doesn't care, then they will be evaluated out. But at the same time, responsibility starts at the top. And so we're taking responsibility for for making sure that those teachers have what they need so that they can deliver quality service, so you don't feel like the teacher doesn't care. I hope I answered that thoroughly. Arts and Communication Academy has long-term subs. This is an issue for our students because they can't build a relationship with a substitute teacher. What is the plan for these long-term subs? So here's the thing. There's a difference between your short-term subs and your long-term subs. Your short-term subs, are there for a day or two while the teacher's out. Your long-term sub does have an opportunity to build a relationship with the students because a lot of times they're there for a long time. I started out as a long-term sub and stayed for most of the year. Still remember some of the students that I had back in '99. So the issue is to come up with alternative ways to acquire and deliver instruction in the classroom. The issue of subs in schools is a national crisis. A lot of people are now going into different fields, and so we're going to have to incorporate some recruiting strategies to get teachers. And so our HR department will be working on some recruiting strategies to have some connections with some colleges and do some proactive recruiting so that we're not just hit with this problem. Some, if most of the surrounding districts do not want Ben Harbor area school students. What is the plan regarding this? This says that it's a faulty assumption that other districts do not want our students. We have not spoken to every district, so we cannot say how they truly feel. However, if that is the case, if there are districts that do not want the students, the schools of choice could receive Ben Harbor area students based on their enrollment cap. Otherwise, the choice would be for these charter schools to receive our students. The goal is for us to keep our students because we definitely want our students. I can't speak for everybody else, but we want our students. And so the most important thing is to understand that we care for our students, we want our students, and we're going to work with you to make sure that we do keep our students, okay? So when it comes to the students of Ben Harbor area, Ben Harbor and the standardized test, how do they measure the grading for students with disabilities? Okay, so these students are identified before testing. So students with disabilities, we identify them before testing, and they are given certain accommodations for their disability before the test, okay? Ben Harbor area school students leave the district and decide to return, they seem to be reviewed in a negative light. Other students are telling them that they are not real tigers. What is your stance on this? From the board stance, this is unacceptable, okay? We want to treat all of our students as tigers. Once a tiger, always a tiger, okay? And when you come back, it's just like that prodigal son. We are opening arms to you. We love our tigers, and every time, we lose a tiger, it's like losing somebody in our family. So if you come back and you have that issue, we need to show that leadership, and we need to make sure we let all of the students know that we need each other. You are welcome here. Always a tiger, so that's that, okay. There will always be a bottom 5%. At what point do we say is how we educate instead of closing? This 5% thing, this is a legislative thing. This is something that the state decided. It's the way the law is constructed. Anybody who, is paying attention to the math, it doesn't make sense. There's always going to be a bottom 5%. And I think it's important to look at how they are making those decisions because I don't agree with that. We are not at the bottom of anything. That's my point, okay? How do we get permanent teachers? Increase student enrollment, improve processes and procedures as for the district's education plan, and to become more competitive for salary. So like we said before, we're going to be working on some recruiting strategies, some proactive strategies. I think that by talking to you all and having that survey online. It will give us an opportunity to have even more creative solutions. Some people may say, hey, let's develop some relationships with HBCUs, some schools that have teacher programs, get some schools to adopt us so that we can kind of have that ongoing, maybe bring back the teacher cadet program, explore options so that we can be more proactive and start maybe even training our own student teachers or something like that. So maybe those type of creative solutions will come, but right now we're already, working on some recruiting strategies so that we can have more permanent teachers. Does Benton Harbor area schools have a science curriculum? This says that the district has a committee working on a new science curriculum adoption for 2017-2018 school year. So we may need to, clarify that question and find out about the curriculum right now. But the good news is that we do have a committee working on a brand new science curriculum for 2017 school year. And I remember there was another question about classroom disruptions. There is a program that was presented to the board a couple of weeks ago, a week or two ago. There is, we have some, I don't know the exact official name, but they're kind of like student advocates. They're working with students to get to the source of their problems, not just, why did you do that, or what is sourcing the energy behind that negativity. And those students presented to the board, and they were talking about their long-term solutions and how grateful they were because they were transformed, not just went back to class, go back to class and be quiet. From now on, it was a transformation. They were grateful for that advocate. They were grateful for, for their parents, and they were grateful for their teachers. And so that is a program that we're working on regarding classroom disruptions. I also know that there were about 12 ministers from the community who volunteered to assist, I want to say a couple days ago. And somebody today just asked me, how can I be a part of that? And so as more ministers and more people from the community, you got to be vetted with volunteer applications and all that. But as people from the community start bringing in those solutions, then, all of these problems will just go away because we will be proactive and we will be working on the energy that comes from the solutions, which is why we're here today. I think you still have some more questions? I'm sorry. So we have, okay, we have two more, and then we're going to hear from you because that's the most important part of tonight. Could we start a parent-to-parent mentor program? These are the best kind of questions, right? Because there's a solution. You're asking, can I be a part of the solution? Absolutely. We're working to build such programs as we speak. Sometimes it's not just working with the kids. The parents need that support. So this is powerful. And yes, so we're working on that. And if you're interested, please spread the word. If Benton Harbor area schools were to fold, is homeschooling an option? Where do we go from here? Okay, so I probably shouldn't have gotten this one because I don't believe in playing Benton Harbor area schools folded. Okay, Benton Harbor area schools is here to stay, and it's not folding. We are going to keep our doors open, and with all these solutions, there's no way we can fold. I just don't believe that, but I'll read what it says here. The law provides this option for parents at any time. If this is an option being considered, you can contact the Department of Education. But here's the thing. We have teachers, advocates, systems in place. And if you pitch in where you see fit to pitch in, you won't have to do that. Everybody, people have jobs and different things of that nature, and you want to be able to send your kids to school so you can bring home the bacon, turkey bacon, if you don't believe in pork, and we'll take care of the kids. Okay, so that's that. We want to thank you for the questions. We spent a lot of time on that because we want to make sure that you know that we are reading your questions and that we have answers for them as well. Tonight, we're going to move forward with the public participation part, okay? And this is where you have an opportunity to speak. And so you've heard a lot of information here. And also, there is a sheet that you have. Hopefully, you've been taking some notes. And if for some reason you just don't want to talk, but you want to have your voice in the room, you can complete this survey, give it back to us at the end of the night, or you can go to the website, BHAS.org, and you can fill out that survey. That's a very detailed survey. Pick and choose what you want to talk about in the survey. And I will share our lights. So that is, from what you saw, and I promise you, if you hate us, we're going to give you opportunity to say that too. I promise you. But we want to start out with the likes to get the strengths, figure out what we need to home in on as we move forward. So, if you heard something that you liked, you wouldn't mind coming, how's that going to work? Just coming, okay. If you don't mind coming to the microphone, and young people are welcome to speak as well. So if anyone would like to share likes, this would be the time. Anything that you heard that you liked. Is it the coming to the microphone part?
No. I like
Okay.
to talk.
Just need a little time to get there.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's right there for you.
It's not as easy as it used to.
And we have two minutes.
2 minutes. My name is Herman Goodlow. First, I'd like to give honor to God. And I just want to comment on the superintendent's parent meeting that we've been involved in the last several weeks. It has been very informative. We've discussed a lot of the problems that we're having here in the Ben Harbor area schools. We've come up with a lot of solutions, but the main thing is we need more parent involved. I don't know how we can get the parents involved, because if you look at the audience here, it doesn't represent all of the students that we have in the Ben Harbor area schools. And there's one more thing I'd like to say. I'd like to say that we've had a lot of different superintendents over the years, but I've never seen a superintendent that's involved like the one that you have now. Usually the other one would just write things off and they never got anything accomplished. But I believe and I know that we're on the right track with her. So I hope everyone supports her and gets the other parents involved, and let's get this thing taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for coming. Anyone else? Nice. Okay. Want to make sure we had time for that. And then some people were here last week, so they already got an opportunity to share theirs, so. Okay, Commissioner Adams. Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, everybody. Commissioner Mary Alice Adams, and first of all, I'd like to give honor to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, who's truly the head of my life. And thank you all for caring enough to form this forum that you have for the community, and I am disappointed that Ben Harbor is not here. And they expect people like me, as your commissioner, community leader, to come back and inform them, but everybody isn't on Facebook. And I've said it once, and I'll continue to say it, that sometimes we need you all to just show up. These are your children that we're talking about. And not only that, I want to thank Mrs. Board Member Gavin for some things that she touched base on, which is something that I've been working on with some scholars, working with Western Michigan University with my brother's keeper. We already know that a lot of these problems come from, not to blame the parents, but from the conditions of the homes where the fathers do not dwell, where they're not involved in their children's lives because of the fear of maybe going to jail and being stopped because of that child support. We need to offer some type of programming or something for them to get involved in to remove some of those funds, to make them feel comfortable enough to show up and be in their children's lives, eating healthy, community gardening, getting the children involved in a better, in a different way of life. I've come to this board probably 8, 9, 10 years ago with the hopes that you would partnership with the community, not only the city, but to come together in some manner, somehow, some way, to get involved in partnership and spending some money like I think twice within the past 2-3 years, I saw what, $400 and something $1,000 go towards consultants from somewhere else. When I brought something to this community and put it on a platter, people that have all the resources that we needed in the form of Manchester Bidwell Arts and Training Technology Center, that will provide us with the things and the resources that we need for not only a large facility like, or small, whatever you want to call it, for those that choose not to go to college, but it's available for those that want to also get college credits. And not only that, our juniors that are in junior high, getting some life skills, some skillful technology skills. And not only that, offering up the resources that we need for our grade school children. I mean, I see little bitty pieces of it working in silo, but until we come together, it's not going to work. And I thank God for what he showed me in this superintendent that this gentleman just spoke of. I trust you. I truly believe that your heart is in the right place. Because if it's not, whoa. And I think you already know. Because I think you know my father. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mamie Yarborough, Berrien County Commissioner, District 4. You are in my district. City of Benton Harbor, a portion of Benton Charter Township. But even more important, what I want to let you know is that I'm a former student. I'm a former parent. I'm a former school board member. I was the president and secretary of Benton Harbor Area Schools during the term of Dr. Sherwin Allen. There have been things going on in Benton Harbor for years, but I've never given up. And what I thought about is the buildings have not done anything to us. So why would we get rid of the buildings? The children come to school every morning ready to learn. So why would we have to move the children? What I did like in the questions and the answers that I heard is that you're looking at staff. And Ms. Gavin, when you say you evaluate it all, I don't know if it's still so, but there's something called tenure in the state of Michigan that will hamstring you all the way down. But you need to continue to look at the staff, not just the teachers, but everybody that is in the building and with our children until you can get it right. And that's what I like, that you seem to be looking at the whole picture. And I thank you and I pray for you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Abisaya Muhammad, and I am a parent of children. They represent almost all the schools in Benton Harbor, from Hull to HCA to Benton Harbor High School. So I thought it was important that I be here tonight. I'm also the First Lady of Benton Harbor, Michigan. My husband here is the mayor. But I thought it was important for me to say the board that's sitting here and all of our politicians and some of the parents and staff that are here, we are here because we all care. We're here because we have something to say and offer. We want to listen, we want to learn, but we cannot do it by ourselves. what we have to do, we have to find a way, and sometimes things have to happen that are not so good, that will push us together to form the solutions. So as a city, as a community, the board and the students themselves, the parents, if we're all willing to look at ourselves and see what we can do to make things better, I think that Benton Harbor can be a good school. I have children in the school system. They are still there. They are great students, honor students, I must say, because we tell them that they are great. So we want everyone around them to believe in them, to know that they can achieve. But I would like to say on the point of the commissioner who mentioned Facebook. There is a lot of talk on Facebook, but I came across something that, if you don't mind, I could read some of it. It says, we have to change our home environment first. Start after school tutoring in local community corners, parents helping students and other parents. Drill your child on basic addition and multiplication facts. I have to say, I know there's a lot of methods and new things about curriculum, but the basic 1 + 1 = 2 still works. So that's what we do at home. We do the letters and all that, but learn the basics. So let me continue, please. It says, review word recognition at your child's grade level. Have your child sit quiet for a period of 15 minutes. Set goals at home. Make your child earn those Jordans. Go to the conferences. Visit the school unexpected. Review your child's homework. Oversee class projects and encourage them to have a good day every day. Encourage them. And I could go on, but I would just like to add, that's all the things that we ourselves have a responsibility to do for our children. They are our children, but until we address where we have gone wrong, where what we can do to improve, then we can see a better result. And I'd like to add one more thing. What is going on in the state of Michigan and Benton Harbor is not exclusive. If you look at almost every state in our country, somehow the minority schools are at the bottom of the list. My question is why? Thank you.
Excellent question. Can you imagine First Lady Muhammad working with that parent-to-parent group? Yes. I'm in. Yay! Yes, sir.
Dwayne Seats, resident, taxpayer, city commissioner for 9 years, I believe it was. Graduate of Benton Harbor High School. My concern is that this last round, and I want to say this real quickly, Miss Goodlow was my 5th grade teacher, Sawyer Elementary. When I turned in the paper, she sent it home to my mother and father and gave me a bad grade, in which I got disciplined, and that paper helped change my life forever. And I'm here today because I'm a product of people who knew my family, who were able to teach me and tell me that if I didn't do what was right, I'm going to call your mother, call your father, and my grandmother, who was a nurse at Benton Harbor area schools. They will call her. I'm concerned because this last round of employment with teachers were not constituents or people who look or know who your children may be. I think that our children learn differently. And if you would just give me 1 second, I'll prove it. When I was in school, we had things such as where you can learn how to work on cars. You learned how to do cosmetology. You learned how to build. You learned how to do other things. Everybody does not learn the same. And because my child might be a minority, does not mean that my child needs to be put on Ritalin or my child has ADHD because he does not sit down like yours. Every child does not know time out. Every child does not know how to stand in the corner for 2 hours, and probably yours don't either. So the consideration needs to be an aggressive approach we need to take to grab all of our partners in the city who say they really love Benton Harbor, who say they're backing Benton Harbor, and even those who say they're backing Benton Harbor football team, who even put their money where their mouth is to improve the Benton Harbor football team, as far as equipment, weight room, all those different things. And I would ask the school board, if you could, please put out in the media how much money was donated to the athletic department. I know we're looking funny about that because nobody probably knows that, because there was checks coming everywhere and everybody kept their hands off. But I would ask that we would do our due diligence, because this young lady who some of you might have voted for, Kim Lasada, is part of that process of getting money for the school system, and which vowed to shut down Benton Harbor area schools. And so if possible, I also would like to see the credibility of Berrien Reset, to see how many schools they turned around, how many people they helped get back on their feet, how many people have they helped to sustain. And then we can all get together and join hands and say, we're here to celebrate Benton Harbor. And my mother gave me a look, so I'm gonna sit down because I still fear what she's able to do. But particularly, I'm glad that she's on the school board and not someone who just knows how to make cookies for the kids. Have a great day. Hopefully, we can do what's best for the city of residents of Benton Harbor and the school system, which I do pay your wage. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Stevens. Do you have any more lights before I go ahead and move on? Sounded like it was some concerns in there too. Okay.
Thomas Green, president of parents. I just wanted to switch it for a second. I would like to know you guys' questions to parents, because you talked about solutions. And that's the part that I like. But it all can't be on y'all shoulders. We gotta stop this adversarial thing against authority and residents. So why don't you all write down questions you have for parents so we can help each other? Because y'all can't come up with no solution and then it's gonna be automatically done. Y'all need our help, we need y'all help. So let's not look at it as a school board, parents, Benton Harbor. We just Benton Harbor. Period.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and transition into concerns. I took copious notes. I noticed trustees next to me did as well. And your energy is very helpful. If you have some concerns, we have, 2 minutes for those as well. That would be, I wonder, hopefully we addressed a lot of those concerns with the answers, but there may be some more. And through that honesty, we can find some solutions. Thank you, sir.
You're gonna ask me why I went. She broke my leg. Wow. But I was this to you, Ms. Walker. I honestly believe that you have the children's best interests at heart. But what he said was 20 years ago, they started to decline. And 20 years ago, they talked about world-class communities. And one of my biggest things, if you want to have a world-class community, you got to get the kids a world-class education. So at the time they talked about world-class communities, the system began to break down because it was delusion of inclusion. You know, it's things that happened. This was long before you got here. You know, and they got you under the gun, expect you to make change, and you don't even know what's really going on. You know, when I stopped in your office the other day, the lady that worked at your office come in from Chicago, the administrator, the lady who's sitting at the desk. The one who, you know, the one that's at the desk, she come in from Chicago. Ain't even been here for 2 weeks, retired. Ain't even been here for 2 weeks. How could she possibly know what's going on? So the biggest issue to me is this. You know, they have to be real. They have to be real. We have to deal with reality and not the show. You know, and there's been a lot of show going on and not reality. That's the biggest thing that upsets me. I didn't have a headache just sitting here. Based on the fact, you know, individuals that really know, they know that this comes from the higher powers. When you first talk to your first meeting about how you went to certain entities to try to get them to help you, they're not going to help you. They're not going to help you. If they're breaking your leg, why are they going to help you? They're breaking it. You understand? It's just real. And so this is what we have to really look at. You know, when they talk about how the city then declined, because it was by design, strategically done like this, so that it would fail, in order for it to be shut down, so they could, you know, complain about the students not being able to learn. You know, when I was going to school, there wasn't no special education because every individual had their rock, that skill center, that tech center. Young lady, when I was going through the hospital, she said because of the tech center, she was able to get that nursing job over there because of these trades. Even with the answers that I really didn't, you know, I got this in your office from you. These were the questions. It's not signed out. So it could be official. You understand? You know, when you sign something, it has to be official. Let me explain something to you. All of these entities that they talking about, where kids can go here, go there for certain classes. They don't provide the transportation. When we was going to the skills tech center, the bus was there every hour to get you, to make sure you got where you want to go if you want to get that education. You know? And so, when you have individuals that's working against you, it's hard for you to actually come out the hole. It's not going to work. Because it's individuals that's honestly working against you and not with you. And so, I say that to say this. I've never been in disagreement with change. And the powers that be know I'm not in. But when it's the illusion of inclusion, it hurts. Because it's just a sideshow. All these parents, it's a lot of parents that really want their kids to learn. They really want their kids to have a world-class education. But if you're breaking my leg and you expect me to be able to walk, it's not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So it's being real. We have to understand who you're working for. What are you working for? You know, what entity are you working for when you come aboard? And so we have to be mindful of these things. You know, and I say that because I have to stand on the truth. I can't stand on falsehood. There ain't but two things in the world, truth and falsehood. If you stand in between, that means you waver. You waver. You're not consistent with self. So we have to be mindful of this. You know, that's just like when they talk about outsourcing the job. This started 10 years ago. This didn't just start today. They started outsourcing the bus driver jobs 10 years ago. The secretaries, the teachers. 10 years ago, this was going on. I was down on the battlefield fighting for them. You know, so this is to start overnight. We got individuals that really don't want to see the city succeed. And so when they sit there and say that they want to help us, how can you want to help us if you done took the economic side of the city? They took BHAS, they took modern classrooms. They took those things which were helping the parents be able to produce for their kids, get their kids school clothes and things of this nature. You know, we have young men and women in the Rivertians that can't even afford to get to this meeting. They sent out the SRO letter to tell them that their school was going to get closed. They should have sent out a letter to tell them about the meeting tonight. They didn't do that. They made a robocall telling them about where the school's going to get closed, had the parents worried and going on Facebook, speaking on this and that. But they should have said the same thing when they had these meetings. Them kids don't be knowing about these meetings because they don't be informed. They might not read the paper. In order for them to know, they have to be what they know. They don't know anything. So how can they put something into their children when they haven't been taught? It's just being real. So if people want to really help, we have to go to the children, the young parents that don't really know. Because, you know, you don't have a lot of solutions, a lot of things that's being said. You understand what I'm saying? But it's all about the kids. It ain't never been about Marvin. I've never claimed to want anything because it's not about me, it's about the future of this city, it's about these school children that really want something. Yes, ma'am. And I admire you, Ms. Gavin, for you stepping up. But I want you to know that it's powers that be. So we have to be real, that's all I'm saying. You know, and it just hurt you to just listen to people just go over the same thing when they fool them know that it's not real.
So do this.
I respect
Do me a
that.
favor, Marvin. State your name, so your last name.
Marvin Hayden, I've been stating my name and writing questions for you for quite some time. Yeah, Marvin
Yeah.
Hayden.
I want to thank you, Marvin, and
Everybody know me, this is real. They know me. And they know that I've been against everything going on. It just didn't start today, this started a long time ago. But for to sit here and just, it's not real. That's all I gotta say.
no, I appreciate you. No, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else who has concerns? And just a reminder, there is a survey. That data is important. Your ideas, concerns, all of this is important. And it's good to share verbally, but if you can write that down as well, it would be very helpful. Thank you, ma'am.
Emma Kennard. I'm the director of Fresh Start Children's Garden. I worked 26 years with the Benton Harbor area schools. So I have seen a lot of things that have happened. Like I said, it maybe one of the past meetings, I could write you a book of some of the things that I've seen. And it's really sickening because I saw so many people come to our schools and teach. They couldn't teach in their own area where their children went to school. So what our children got is a poor education because these people wasn't qualified to really teach. So they came here to Benton Harbor Area School. How they got through and taught our children was in our classroom. I don't understand. I tell you that I worked 26 years in the Benton Harbor Area School, and I would volunteer my time. I was a paraprofessional, and I would volunteer my time to come in and help out. But this is something that didn't just start. I started the garden because I saw a great need to still have a communication and interaction with the children, find out some of the needs they had, which was good nutrition, for one thing, and also to sort of work with them through the garden, even like some of the words that you see, even spelling maybe the words of the different vegetables there, like tomatoes, and without taking out of this order, tell me how many words can you see in the word tomato. And things like that, it's games that they can play and make them feel that they're having fun rather than really working. So we can get together and we can work with our children. I've been working with the community and with the children ever since I retired because I felt that Benton Harbor deserves the best that we can give them. I don't have any children in the school system, but I've donated a lot of my time to different areas that concern the city. And I don't have any, sorrow about what I do, but I just want it to be a benefit. I don't want us to just have these meetings and nothing really happens behind it. We have meeting after meeting all over the city, and the city is still, in a rocky shape. So I want this meeting to really mean something, that we get traction with what's going on. Like I said, I think our superintendent is sincere, and I hope we do get some traction here and make it really be wonderful. Our children are smart, and they need to know that they're smart, but they need to have someone that believes in them and work with them. I love the children, and I don't want to see them taken advantage of. Developers and these other areas that come in and they want this land, they can't have our high school. That high school needs to be here. Our children need not be taken out of their area because it's a hardship for the parents if the child takes sick and they're so many miles away from Benton Harbor. So let's really work very hard in trying to keep our schools open and don't touch our schools. If you can build a school somewhere out, take that money and fix up the school they got and keep our children in their community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone who has come so far. Is there anyone else who has concerns? We're at 8:24 now, so we still have some time. There any other concerns? And like I said, we may not believe this, but that data, collecting that data, if you wanted to say something, but you just didn't feel comfortable, you can input that into the survey, and we can use that information to make informed decisions moving forward. Okay, so this is the most important part. It's all important. It's important to get the truth in the room. It's important to find out what we're doing well. But if we don't translate that into solutions for next steps, it'll be like Mrs. Kennard said, we won't be getting any traction. So this is the most important part. If anyone has any solutions, any ideas for next steps, things that we need to be thinking about or doing moving forward, or organizations we need to connect with, or something, one thing you want to do, this will be a good time to share that as well. So is there anyone who has ideas for next steps, solutions? Going twice. Are you talking? No, just come back. Okay. Oh, it's okay. Great. Thank you.
Good evening. I would like to suggest that the school district and the community in general support any positive programs that talk about inclusion and diversity. Programs like Calling All Colors that's in the public schools that promote interactions with other communities. As we know, Barron County is more segregated than a lot of communities. I've lived in several different states, and I think that's a barrier, because if we connect with different people and organizations outside of our communities, it'll help bring more positive ideas to the table, and hopefully more resources.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, so believe it or not, I really don't like talking much, so so if you're like me, feel free to complete these forms, turn them in, and we can get your solutions that way. Again, thank you so much for coming out. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our board president, and President Taylor will take it over from here. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm sorry.
Ask one question. The times you talk about writing, do you have an address where we could write to, what, whose suggestion of that, please?
Would you be comfortable with the survey that's online, Commissioner? It's at the district website. It's a survey that's very comprehensive and gives you an opportunity to write and give input across a multitude of topics. And we'd love to hear from you. So you can go there and then you can write and share. Would that be okay? It's the Benton Harbor website, BHAS.org. And then our website comes up and you'll see a link that speaks to your opportunity to give us feedback, having participated in the town hall, or people that are not here that are listening online, etc. We'd love for you to go to the district website and give us your thoughts and comments. Great question. Thank you.
So at this time, this is the portion of the agenda where we have comments. And so it's my time for comments, but I'm going to defer that right now to the mayor. I'm going to allow you a chance to speak, Mr. Mayor. And so I'm going to turn the mic to you, and then we'll go back to the superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. President, and to the school board trustees and Superintendent Dr. Walker and staff, to the community. I will say that I am honored and humbled to sit here with this august body. I think that it's very important at this time that we show a united front and a unified front as a community. that we certainly want to remain in control of our school district, and that the closure of Benton Harbor area schools, any school, would be a major detriment to our community. Do we still receive 31A services? Okay, 31A is a criterion where students in this district receive certain services due to 2 or more things. One of them is students who have parents who are incarcerated. And people may not know, but the city of Benton Harbor has one of the highest convicted felon rates in the state of Michigan, which causes an automatic hardship. So we also have, as mentioned, a high homeless population, where we have at this time from our homeless liaison, approximately 80 students who have been identified, which that would be a major hardship if it's difficult to have a stable home. Then how could I feel comfortable going to school in Van Buren County? So that's another issue. Our special education population, we have one of the highest in Berrien County, and how will they be serviced? Of course, transportation is a major issue. Then we have our breakfast program, which that may be the only time where our students, some students may be able to eat breakfast. And working in the school district, there was a student who we perceived as skipping and going to 2 lunches. And before he was suspended, I approached him and I asked, why are you consistently going to 2 lunches? And he said, Mr. Muhammad, when I leave school, this is my last meal. So we never know, what the students, especially in this district, come, but we do have services. I was leaving the basketball game at ACA, and the 21st Century program was providing a hot meal. But 21st Century is a program that's specifically designed to service students in Benton Harbor area schools. The unemployment rate, which is one of the highest in the state, the city of Benton Harbor, not to mention the foreclosure rate, which is one of the highest in the state. We also have a population of students where students are parents, but there are services that are provided for them in this district. So it's layered, and not to mention, I met with the executive director for the Civil Rights Department, and I shared with him that every school that has been shut down in the city of Benton Harbor has been a voting precinct. So there's issues in terms of voter access. Last year, Morton Hill was shut down and we had to move it to 200 Paw Paw. But there's issues in terms of federal regulations where it can accommodate people with disabilities. So it's multiple layers to this issue. So hopefully we'll be able to, as Al Green says, stay together, and we can, this too shall pass. So thank you, Dr. Walker, and the school board for giving me an opportunity, and know that the city of Benton Harbor, we are with you. We support you, and whatever you need from the office of the mayor or from us, we're there for you. So thank you.
At this time, we'll have superintendent comments.
Thank you. And again, I expressly thank you all for sharing your heart and, helping me to think about what experiences you've had long before I was, and to know that I'm always listening. And the children are the focus. They are the point of what I do and why I do. And I appreciate those who see my heart. It is genuine. I did want to share, it was mentioned by Ms. Gavin, that we had several of our local clergy come out on Monday in response to last week's town hall. And as Ms. Gavin has said, we are listening. And one of the things that I specifically heard was the clergy say, hey, we're going to come together and we're going to see how we can help. And so I reached out to them on Friday. And on Monday morning, I think we actually had about 25 clergy. It was amazing. And we took them into 2 of the schools where I think Benton Harbor definitely needs the most support. And that would be opportunity for us to take advantage of persons who have prestige, who have wisdom, who have insight, and they were amazing. And so I want to point out Ms. Nichols, again, I mentioned her earlier, has some forms with her. We really need support of not just our local clergy, but also, again, those of you that are retired or have time during the school day and could come in, going through the volunteer process to support our schools as we continue to finalize some of our programming. And so it was a beautiful sight. I had a teacher send me an email and said, wow, Dr. Walker, that was like amazing to see all these people come in united, and they have signed up. And as you heard someone else say, earlier, the calls are coming in. I want to be a part of that. Ms. Nichols was telling me today she's getting phone calls. People are saying, I want to participate. I want to help. And so this is why we can stand before the state reform office and say, our schools need to stay open. We can do this. We can work together. We're doing it. Yes, we have much to do. But the capacity and those of us that are working, the staff and the parents, we can do this, and we just need time. So I just wanted to point that out. It was really cool. Also, the local clergy said, you know what? Our doors are open on Sundays, and we may have some meetings here and there, but what we could do is open our doors up during the week, and we can host activities, tutoring, things in our churches in the evenings. We're all over that. And so we're connecting. We already have, I know one church that emailed us, we emailed them back. I've seen the email today to say, absolutely, we want to partner with you to see how we can support our children in their home. For many of our children, church is home, and we know that. I also wanted to talk about when our mayor was speaking to some of the hurdles, struggles that the Benton Harbor community faces. I am hopeful in my parent group to bring some data specific around some of those topics, but specifically, we may not know that the death rate in Benton Harbor is also the highest. Some of you may know we've been partnering with Lakeland Hospital, and so I'm going to be given some data that I'm going to share, and with the school board obviously as well. I'll share the data around that death rate statistic and what are things that we can as a community do to improve the death rate in this district and for our children who deserve better. Some of you participated in a mental health session where we took time to just stop and think about the impact of trauma on our children and on the community. And so we're bringing that speaker back in March to do more small group follow-up. Many parents expressed a high interest. They were like, wow, that's helpful to understand that product piece that was spoken of. But it's about keeping it real. I'm with you, we gotta keep it real. But in that realism, what does that really mean? And what do we control and what don't we control? And I'm from the school. I can't worry about what I can't control, but if there are things that are in my control, I'm all over it. And so understanding is in our control. And then as we understand what are those heartbeats and those throbs and those things that are happening in our society at large that we don't control, but how they affect us, what do we control? That becomes action in terms of, so now what are we going to do? But in order to get to that action place, we have to understand the why. So it's not just about teaching our children, and Ms. Gavin spoke to that. The interventionists are trained specifically, and she said that, in helping our children understand why. But we need to understand why. And in that understanding, We can begin to help those young parents, as has been spoken, the grandparents who have their young grandchildren. We're helping one another, but we need to understand. So I do hope that we will have families to participate once that announcement comes around really taking time to better understand how trauma affects us and how it affects our children and their ability while they're in school. It's a very real issue. And it stems from poverty. And it stems from separation from their parents who may be in prison. And it stems from, seeing people they love die or injured or put out or being put out of their home. Those are traumatizing experiences for children and their children. So it's up to us to really understand that and to begin to embrace it. I like what was said, looking at how can we learn more about other cultures and what's going on. Not to say there's anything wrong with who we are and what we're doing, but in order to integrate to the larger community. So I just wanted to mention some of those components as we wind down the evening. And again, to just thank you all for being here. But I want to say this, the mayor spoke about their partnership. We met with McGinnis, the director, thank you. McGinnis, they're going to bring back some great programs, the PAL program. We've already set some dates up. They're coming to talk to principals. We're reestablishing, I've heard a lot of that tonight. We had this, and we've had this, and I heard a lot of that last week. And so we need to be purposeful to bring back things that the community says made a difference. And so that is a part of where we are listening to what you're saying, and we're attempting, we can't do it all, because there's a lot of other work we have to attend to. We are definitely listening and care about how you feel. So thank you for your time this evening to support our understanding of what you're experiencing as a parent and a community member and how we can improve. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Walker. At this time, we'll have comments from board members, and we'll start with Trustee Marletta Seats.
Hey, I'm gonna, again, thank you all for coming out. Thank you for the board for being on board with this, and thank you for Dr. Walker for everything. We are imperfect, but we are a work in progress. And I believe that the mind is designed for progress. And a lot of our issues come from distractions. And if they can distract you, they can destroy you. And so it's important for us to remove those distractions out of the way and focus on these solutions. Mayor Muhammad is here with us. People say we don't unite. We have the city here with us. We have, the police wanting to work with us. I see teachers in the audience. I see, former teachers. I see county commissioners. I see administrators, parents, children, and I see the solutions that you mentioned last week being implemented this week. And that is hope. And so I don't believe in, anyone closing our schools. I believe that we are the best and we will be the best. And if we come together like I see us coming together, closure is not an option. And so I'm really grateful, for this meeting. I'm grateful for the truth in the room. I'm grateful to see my dad in the audience, who was a minister who stepped up, among other ministers as well. And so I'm talking to Mom, but I'm really excited about what can be. And we just need the rest of the community to just help us be great. That's it. Before you throw stones, pick up a brick and build with us. That's all we ask, is just work with us. I want to thank you.
Okay. Couple of thank yous. Gina Lovelace, our IT person. It takes a lot of work to set up all of this. Lots of wires, lots of plugs, and we appreciate it. Johnny Edwards, who early this morning was coming up with solutions on how to best service and set us up. Thank you, Johnny. We appreciate that. I really like the list of ideas of things to do with children that Mrs. Muhammad presented, because they're basic common sense, easy things that everybody can do. I do understand, because once upon a time in my life, I was a single mom working 3 jobs. And so sometimes our parents who are trying to put a roof over their head and food in the bellies don't have the energy to even do those simple things. So that's where this community comes in. And especially if you have a church that's going to start opening their doors, working with their children, you don't have to have a teaching certificate. We need to start with the basics. And, you know, the foundation of the house has to be strong in order for a house to stand. And students need those foundational skills. So any way that the community can help students, that will help those who they truly love their children, but they're working really hard and don't always have the time and energy to further help their children. Thank you. I see most of our current teachers that were here have already left and gone home, because I'm sure they are tired after a long day. And we've all heard about how good Mrs. Goodlow was as a teacher. And she had a good reputation in the school district, and we appreciate the work that you did with our students over the years. Dr. Van Dyke, thank you. This has been a long day for you. Thank you for hosting this meeting at your building. In case you haven't heard it yet, Ms. Gavitt would really like for you to fill out the survey online, because I think she's mentioned it about 10 times so far. So please, let's keep our board member happy.
Good evening. I would like to thank everyone for coming out to our second forum in regards to school closure. Just some things that I would like to touch base on is the SRO is here because we didn't meet our yearly progress, which is expected to pass our standardized tests. I understand we're addressing a lot of things as far as behaviors and interventions and community support. But what I would like to plug in everyone's ear, although we're here as a board and there's 7 of us that were elected by you all, we all need your support. There are so many things going on behind the scenes that you all wouldn't even imagine is happening. So you have to come and stand with us. You just can't take anybody's word that things are being worked on. You have to actually come in and visibly see and check on your child and make sure that those things that were said tonight are actually being worked on. But what I want the parents to do, or any caretakers of the children, is to go in and get the past data of the kids' test scores. I think I may have gotten 1 test score of my child since he's been in school, and that's shame on me because I should have demanded more. And so that you can see what areas are needed to be improved in your child's testing, what areas they need to work on. I think we need to start focusing more on the kids that are achieving bad behavior, that other kids turn to bad behavior because they think that that's how I get attention. That's all I heard. That's all I'm hearing. Bad kids, bad kids, bad kids. What about the good kids? We used to have so many parents come out when it was creative arts, gifted and talented, and we had went to Montessori. Those parents stuck by us. They stood by us. They came to all the events. And when it was time for the schools to close, they showed up at the meetings in droves. I was one of those parents. My kids are still in the school district. My son is now a junior at the high school. He went through so many changes. Some of the parents couldn't take it. They couldn't stand it just to see the dwindling of the district and how they just did away with the kids who were achieving and just wanted to treat them as though, no, okay, we're just gonna put you in a classroom that's really not gonna develop you to go higher and go further. We're just gonna put you there, and the teacher's gonna have no assistant, because they still call the paraprofessionals out. She's gonna have to work miracles to do what she needs to do, to teach you, and also the other kids that need other attention. Because I was in this class, this building, my son was in the 2nd grade. His teacher was an excellent teacher, phenomenal. We have some great teachers. And she had to have 35 kids in one of these classrooms and teach them all by herself. And the other kids were on IEPs. So those kids require special attention. They have special needs. They have special requirements. Plus she had to teach the other kids at different levels. So how is she able to juggle that all by herself? So we need to look at our classroom structures. Our teachers need assistants. We're spending all this money, and I'm guilty. With some I didn't support, some I did, on consultants. We're paying somebody $70,000 for data, $50,000 to type. But it's our teachers that need the help. It's our test scores that are being challenged. So that's what we need to look at. We have the same here. He hears me. And we need to also consider year-round school, because our kids lose a lot in the summertime. And I know that's not a law, but we can put it on the ballot as a community. No one can tell us what we can and cannot do. Once we come together and see the power that we have as a unit, we need to expand and promote our dual language program. We have diversity in our schools, right at whole school. Our kids are learning Spanish from Spanish speakers, from the Spanish community. We need to expand upon that. That may help some children who are challenged in just environments of which they cannot advance and grow. Dual language. Anybody mention that tonight? No. Okay, and I'm gonna leave you with, this district would not be able to operate if we close those 3 schools. The amount of bills that we have, we wouldn't be able to pay them. Just keeping HCA in the high school, we owe the state the most money, millions of dollars. If we close 3 schools, we will lose millions more. The loss of these dollars and the closing of the remaining of the 2 schools that we have, if the 3 close, all the money that is owed, the 20 million we're currently in debt, is gonna go to the taxpayers. So if there is a plan, we can change it.
Thank you, Secretary Gulley. So I apologize for not being here last week, and I want to thank the board for stepping up and presenting the first town hall to our citizens, because it was imperative that we showed unity and came out to make sure we heard your voices. And you guys did a great job, and I'm so glad to be on the board. I'm so glad that I didn't walk away and came back so I can help this community, because that's the only reason why I sat at this board table in the first place, was to help students and family members in the Ben Harbor area schools community. Secretary Gulley had some great thoughts. And so I hope that we walk away with some of these good thoughts we heard tonight, some of the good likes and dislikes, right? And put them all together and come up with a great solution. You guys have been wonderful, and we just have to stick together because good schools stick together, right? The communities come out, they support band, they support choir, they support parent conferences. So we just have to be a community of support, because we can't do it by ourselves, right? We're given a position and we have a task, but we need the help of the community to complete this task. And this task is to keep Ben Harbor area schools open. And I have total confidence that after the SRO leaves next week and they review our data, our great things that we've put in place, and that they see the issues of hardship, I think they'll walk away, and Ben Harbor area schools will remain as it always have been. And that's a great school that's filled with people who are Tigers and who show Tiger pride. Do we have anything other to talk about? If not, this meeting is adjourned at 6:54.
6:54.
I'm sorry, 8:54.